Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halloween podcast. I am your host, Lyle Perez. Today is October 10th, 2024, and you're listening to episode 29 of our Haunted America series. We are traveling to the wonderful state of New Hampshire today, the Granite State. Known for its beautiful mountains, scenic towns, and dense forests, New Hampshire also hides a haunted past that few have dared to talk about. We got a lot of creepy inns to ghostly soldiers. This state has its share of spine-tingling tales, I'm telling you. So let's not delay. Grab your flashlights, guys. Get into the Halloween podcast funmobile because we are on our way to the Granite State. Our first stop takes us to Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, a grand and luxurious building that has stood since 1902. Nestled in the heart of the White Mountains, the hotel has hosted presidents, celebrities, and even served as the site of the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944, which established the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Even though this wonderful hotel has a lot of elegance and history, the Mount Washington Hotel has its fair share of ghostly stories. The most famous spirit said to haunt the hotel is Carolyn Stickney, the wife of the hotel's original owner, Joseph Stickney. After Joseph's sudden death, Carolyn became a frequent visitor, spending her summers at the hotel. Guests and staff believe her spirit never left. She's often seen wandering the halls, especially around room 314, which was once her private suite. Some report the smell of her perfume or seeing her figure in mirrors. The room itself is a hotspot for paranormal activity, with guests hearing strange noises and objects moving on their own. The Mount Washington Hotel is still open and welcoming guests, offering not just luxurious accommodations, but the possibility of encountering one of its ghostly residents. New Hampshire's coast may be small, but it's rich in history, and nowhere is that more evident than the Portsmouth Harbor Lighthouse in Newcastle. Built in 1771, this historic lighthouse has guided sailors through the dangerous waters of the Piscataqua River for over 2 centuries. However, some believe that not all of its keepers left the lighthouse when their watch ended. The most famous ghost associated with the Portsmouth Harbor Lighthouse is that of a former keeper named Captain Thomas Ayers. Ayers tragically died in 1854 after falling from the lighthouse during a storm. Since then, visitors and staff have reported hearing footsteps on the narrow staircases leading to the light, even when no one is around. The sound of the lighthouse's foghorn also sometimes echoes late at night, even when it isn't operational. The lighthouse remains in use today, and while tours are available, many who visit leave with more than just scenic views. They leave with stories of an eerie presence that still guards the coast. The Pine Hill Cemetery in Hollis is one of the oldest burial grounds in New Hampshire, dating back to the 1700s. It's sometimes referred to as Blood Cemetery, due to the prominent blood family buried there. The most infamous spirit associated with Pine Hill is Abel Blood, whose gravestone has sparked countless legends over the years. Visitors claim that Abel Blood's gravestone, which bears a carved finger pointed upward, mysteriously changes at night. According to local legend, the finger sometimes points downward instead, as a sign of some darker fate. The cemetery is also known for strange orbs of light that float between the headstones, as well as the sound of footsteps behind visitors. even though the cemetery is deserted. Some locals avoid Pine Hill Cemetery at night, claiming they've seen shadowy figures moving among the trees and graves. Though it's a peaceful resting place during the day, Pine Hill Cemetery takes on a much more sinister feel after dark, making it one of New Hampshire's most haunted spots. Next, we visit the Chase House in Portsmouth, a grand Georgian mansion built in 1762 by Stephen Chase, a wealthy merchant. The house has a long history tied to the American Revolution, with many notable figures, including President George Washington, who visit the estate. However, the house's most enduring reputation is its paranormal activity. One of the most famous ghost stories associated with the Chase House involves the spirit of a woman in a long white dress. She is often seen standing at the large front windows, gazing out at the harbor, as if waiting for someone who never returned. Some believe she is the spirit of Mary Chase, Stephen's wife, who died suddenly in the house. Visitors have also reported hearing the sound of children's laughter and playing around upstairs, even when the house is completely empty. There are even stories of objects moving on their own and doors slamming shut for no reason. The Chase House is now a private residence, but its ghostly history makes it one of the most talked about haunted locations in Portsmouth. Off the coast of Portsmouth lies the Isles of Shoals, a group of small, rocky islands that have been home to fishermen, pirates, and even poets. But these isolated islands also have a dark history filled with murder, shipwrecks, and ghost stories. Smutty Nose Island, in particular, is known for one of New Hampshire's most famous unsolved murders, the Smutty Nose Murders of 1873. In that year, 2 women were brutally murdered on Smutty Nose Island while their husbands were away. The only survivor, Marin Hontvet, escaped and later identified a man named Louis Wagner as the killer, but many believe the full story was never told. Since the murders, visitors to the island have reported hearing the cries of women in the night, as well as seeing shadowy figures walking along the rocky shores. Some believe the spirits of the murdered women still linger, forever tied to the place where their lives were tragically cut short. Today, the Isles of Shoals are popular for tourists, and while they offer breathtaking views of the Atlantic, they also carry the weight of New Hampshire's darker history. Our next stop brings us to the Colonial Theater in Laconia, one of New Hampshire's oldest movie theaters. Built in 1914, this beautiful theater has hosted everything from vaudevillian acts to modern films. But the Colonial's charm comes with a price. It's said to be haunted by more than just one spirit. One of the most famous ghosts at the Colonial is believed to be a former projectionist who worked there for decades. Visitors and staff alike have reported hearing the sound of film reels winding late at night, even though the projection hasn't been in use in many years. Some have claimed to see the ghostly figure of a man standing in the projection booth, staring down at the empty theater. Others report a shadowy figure moving through the aisles when the theater is closed, making it one of the most haunted places in Laconia. The Colonial Theater recently underwent renovations and continues to operate as a historical landmark and entertainment venue. For those who enjoy a touch of the paranormal with their performances, the Colonial remains a must-visit. The Amos J. Blake House in Fitzwilliams was built in the early 19th century and is now home to the Fitzwilliams Historical Society. While the house is known for its well-preserved artifacts and exhibits, it's also known for something more sinister, its haunted history. The house is said to be haunted by several spirits, but the most famous is that of a woman believed to be one of the Blakes' family members. Staff and visitors have reported seeing her apparition in various rooms of the house, dressed in 19th century clothing. Cold spots are frequently felt in the former bedroom, and some have even reported the sound of soft footsteps moving through the hallways when no one is around. The Amos J. Blake House is open for tours, allowing visitors to experience both its rich history and its paranormal activity. The New Hampshire State Hospital, located in the capital city of Concord, has a dark and troubled history. Founded in 1842 as the New Hampshire Asylum for the Insane, the hospital housed patients for over a century. Over the years, stories of mistreatment, overcrowding, and tragic deaths began to emerge, and today, the old asylum is considered one of the most haunted places in the state. One of the most persistent legends is that of a young patient who died under mysterious circumstances. Her spirit is said to roam the abandoned ward of the hospital, often appearing to those who wander too close. Some say they've heard her crying out for help, while others report seeing shadowy figures moving in the windows of the now abandoned buildings. The hospital closed its doors in the 1980s, but the buildings still stand as a chilling reminder of its past. While not open to the public, many ghost hunters have tried to capture evidence of the spirits that remain, making it a hotspot for paranormal enthusiasts. The ocean-born Mary House in Henniker is perhaps one of New Hampshire's most famous haunted locations. The story of ocean-born Mary begins with her tragic birth aboard a ship in 1720 on a voyage from Ireland to America. According to legend, pirates boarded the ship and demanded valuables, but upon learning of the newborn baby, their captain spared the passengers' lives and even gave Mary a bolt of green silk for her wedding gown. Mary later settled in New Hampshire, and after her death, stories of her ghost began to circulate. The house where she is said to have lived is believed to be haunted by her spirit, often seen in the windows wearing her green wedding gown. Visitors have also reported hearing the sound of furniture moving and the smell of roses, Mary's favorite flower, lingering in the air. Though the true connection between ocean-born Mary and the house has been debated, the legends of her ghostly presence continue to draw curiosity. The house remains a private residence, but its haunted reputation makes it a topic of local fascination. Our final stop is one of the most unique and eerie locations in New Hampshire, Madame Sherry's Castle, or what's left of it. Built in the 1920s by the eccentric socialite Madame Antoinette Sherry, the castle was a lavish, secluded getaway in the woods of Chesterfield. Madame Sherry was known for throwing extravagant parties for high society, but after her death in 1965, the mansion fell into ruins, and now only its stone staircase and a few walls remain. Locals say that Madame Sherry's spirit still lingers among the ruins. Visitors often report seeing a woman dressed in a long gown standing at the top of the crumbling staircase, as if greeting her guests for one last party. Others have heard mysterious laughter echoing through the forest, even though the castle has been abandoned for decades. Madame Sherry's Forest is now open to the public, and hikers often visit the ruins, though many leave with eerie stories of their own encounters with the ghost of Madame Sherry. And there we go, guys. That is our haunted tour of New Hampshire. Very small state with a lot of great haunted history. If you're enjoying the Halloween podcast, especially our Haunted America series, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're getting your podcasts from. Please, we really do appreciate it. If you want to learn more about some of these haunted places, make sure you check out those show notes because there's a little bit of extra detail there and the address. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to our website, thehalloweenpodcast.com. Check out our merch store. We got a lot of cool spooky stickers, spooky postcards, some Halloween podcast shirts, and a lot of other Halloween merch. And if you have any questions, comments, or want to suggest anything for a future show, send me an email, thehalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. And let's not forget about that wonderful Facebook page, facebook.com/thehalloweenpodcast. I post a lot of cool things there. I interact with a lot of listeners there. So if you want to say hi to me, go ahead, go to our Facebook page, give it a like. I'd be more than happy to say hello. Make sure you join us again tomorrow because we are continuing Haunted America with a look at the state of New Jersey. All right, I will see you later, guys. Have a good night.